Good morning, everyone. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir. We are doing good.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. So far, we have completed these materials, and for detailed book, you can refer to the IIR chapter 1 and 2 that we have completed. So today we will be starting probably going into more details about the index construction. So for the reference book, you can basically look at the chapter here. So if you want, so whole chapter is given here. So this will be the textbook we'll be referring for this class. So in addition to that, I mean, yeah, we should have finalized our course project by this time. So I can see most of you have already finalized your course project. So is the course project that you mentioned here is the final one, or do you need probably more time to finalize it? So may I assume this silence has like, so these course project are final and you don't need any more time?
So as of now, I think we have decided the titles on our own, but later on, if we try when we start building on it, if we have some problem, then we can approach you. Can that be done?
Yeah, definitely you can approach me and you can approach all the TAs. So if you
Mhm.
recall, we have already shared the
The FAQ one.
yeah, so FAQ is fine. So we have also shared the weekly calendar for every TAs, right? So
Yes, yes,
every
sir.
TA will be here. So feel free to discuss whatever the project you have with
Mhm.
them as well in the session. And
Mhm.
you can basically also discuss with them possibilities. So suppose if you are referring to some work for your course project, then if you have some doubts, probably which direction you need to take, or probably
Okay.
for given probably a few options, which one you should explore. Feel free to discuss with them, and if
Mhm.
required, you can also set up a meeting with me. So yeah, so let us know.
Yeah,
I
sure.
yeah, so I would prefer first discuss with your TAs, and if
Mhm.
it is still not resolved, let me know. I will be very happy to meet and probably yeah, so discuss in more details.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, so last week we had an introductory session on NLP by Abhishek. So um, I believe some people have joined. So any feedback from anyone because we want to probably forward the feedback for the machine learning class that we'll be taking later this week. So any feedback, I mean, what has been covered? Was it good, not good, or probably what can be improved further? Anyone who have attended the session? So is there anyone who attended the session?
So there are some
Yes,
chat
sir.
comments.
Yes, sir. I have attended the NLP lecture.
So please, yeah, please, you can unmute and just speak. Yeah, so any feedback on the session, what can be done further, or probably if it is not
Yes,
complete,
sir.
probably we can take
So,
another session or so.
so the session was really good, but I hope the time constraint was there. Like it was not very, it was very concise. I
So do
think,
you want a follow-up? Do you
yes,
want a
sir.
follow-up
Yes, sir. Maybe a
session as
follow
well?
up. Yeah, maybe a follow up in the next week, sir. Yes, sir. It
Okay,
would be fine.
sure. So yeah, let me speak to Abhishek, and yeah, we'll be very happy to provide any support. The same similar session we are going to have this week for machine learning. So again, I recommend and strongly recommend to the people who feel, probably they need some guidance or probably some whatever the doubts they have, we'll be very happy to we'll be very happy to resolve them. So the session for machine learning will be on Friday, same time, 5:30 to 6:30, so that it won't clash with your other classes. And yeah, so this session will be taken by Rahul, and we'll be very, very happy to help you throughout the process. Okay. So
Excuse me,
please, yeah, Kancha.
sir, it's regarding the NLP lecture. Like we were able to gain the basic things, and then due to time constraint, we could not touch upon sir mentioned the state of the art topics like BERT and transformer, but we could he could not highlight more upon it. So in I would like request if in the follow up session these things could be like told to us, like just a overview so that we
So
can.
what you can do, so if you recall the previous post regarding that, where is it? Okay. Anyways, what you can do, let me create, I think, yeah. So just follow up, post this. Just start commenting here. I mean, what are the other topics do you want to be considered in a follow-up NLP lecture, right? So we can basically simply take all details from there. Like if you want us to cover probably BERT and probably other transformers, we will be very happy to cover. At least provide some direction.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So those want to highlight some topics, just comment here. And just make sure everyone just comment on the same thread, otherwise it will be difficult for us to follow. Just either take this one or this one, whichever, but just check. So what you can do, let me write here. So just post your queries here. So as I told you, I have also shared a form so that you can post whatever the questions you have for your corresponding TAs. So let me see. Okay, so it's good to see at least some people have asked some questions. I can see some of the names. Okay, so whom you have asked. Anyways, so yeah, so I need to probably change the form. Okay. Okay, so so please attend the sessions by these TAs and ask whatever the questions you have. You have already posted, so hopefully the TA should look at these questions and get back to you, at least in the session. So please be present in the session and ask these questions specifically if they don't come. Yeah, but probably you can ask more questions, because right now I can see only 6 responses. So fully utilize this opportunity that we are providing to you to ask your questions and probably discuss in more details with the TAs. Okay. Okay, with this note, I think we can get started. So at least I can assume now, I mean that these topics are probably the bit finalized at the moment. So that is why we have now asked you to complete the literature survey and prepare the project proposal, because that will also help you further to decide whether you can complete this project or not. If not, then what are the other changes you can make the project in order to complete in the given time frame. So please do so in the timeline given to you. I believe it is in somewhere in the 12th or 14th of February. So please check the exact deadline. Probably we can post on the Google Classroom as well. So please have a look. And okay, I think we can get started with the class now. Sorry. Okay. So in the previous classes, we have discussed about the fundamentals of information retrieval, basic concepts which are involved, and we have also so probably can someone just summarize me, I mean what are the fundamentals of IR we have covered, and what are the different component it has, main components?
So we had like initially covered about like inverted index. I mean, first we saw like why do we need information retrieval.
Right.
Then we covered about inverted index and the various components, like basically the postings list and the term document matrix. And then like we covered Boolean queries, like how and or of different terms like can help us solve the information needs. And then we further saw how to optimize those queries, like basically starting with the lowest document frequency terms joining them. And then finally, we also saw about like more complex queries, how we can use the positional indexes to solve them, and what are the disadvantages like space complexity associated with.
Yeah, very nice. So in a way, I mean, we have covered the overall pipeline of the information retrieval system, right? So as we have discussed, I mean, the inverted index is one of the, probably indexing is one of the key component of any information retrieval based system. So in briefly, we have discussed, I mean, how the inverted index can be built. But as part of today's class, we are going to probably go into a bit deeper details how the inverted index can be built, especially if you have a very large Karpura, probably the information that you are available. Because if you follow the traditional way of indexing that we have discussed, so what are the issues that you can face, especially especially when you deal with the probably, so for example web data, or probably some very Wikipedia data which is quite big, or probably something similar. Any guess?
Sir, I didn't understand the question.
Okay, so I'm saying, I mean, okay, so let me go probably further. So we discussed about index construction in the last class, not last, probably earlier classes. We have discussed that, I mean, how you can create inverted index and so on, right? So the way we have discussed creating the inverted indexes, what will be the issue if we are going to create those inverted index on a very large data set? Especially, so for example, the World Wide Web data set probably is, for example, whatever the data set which Google has. Is it possible to apply at least what we have learned in the earlier classes to create the indexes?
So space will be a problem because for every
Right.
word we have.
Exactly. So space will be one of the issue because you have limited memory, right? And especially if the corpora that you're dealing with, or probably the amount of data that you, the number of documents you're dealing with, or even the number of tokens you're dealing with, may be very fairly large, and which is not probably possible for you to accommodate in the memory of your computer, right? And that's how, I mean, that will be an issue for you, and probably you need to think about what could be the advanced methods so that you can deal with such large scale data set, right? So that is what strategies can we use with limited main memory. So that's we are going to cover today. So let me briefly discuss what we have what we have discussed in earlier classes. So how you can basically perform index construction. If you recall the example, we have taken this example. So suppose you have two documents. So documents are parsed to extract words, so especially the tokens, and this whole process is called the tokenization, if you recall. And then these are saved to save with the document IDs. So for example, if you have two documents, we perform the tokenization here, and we will get basically all the tokens that you have here, and you just save the what is the corresponding document ID. So like these terms that you have find from document one, so these are document one. Similarly, from document two, you take this, the different tokens that you have, and mention the document two. What was the next step, if you recall, anyone?
So we arrange them in alphabetical order.
Okay, so we need to
Tokens.
okay.
Sir, and then we like even the documents, we sort them out.
Okay.
Like 1, 2, and then if they are, if for the same term, suppose 1, 1 is repeated, then we merge it.
Okay, nice. So let me show for your reference. So what we have done, the key step was, so after all documents have been passed, so inverted file is sorted by terms. So we need to focus on the sorting. So as you rightly mentioned, so you have all the basically the terms and the corresponding documents. So what you do first, just basically create the sorting of these terms. So that is, these terms are sorted by, so like A, then B, and then alphabetical order. And then you have basically the, since it is now sorted on alphabetical order, you can merge the common terms. For example, killed both occurred in document 1. So if you recall the merging strategy, so if the same tokens is coming in the same document, then you simply need to keep one instance of this. So these killed will be kind of replaced by just one. So killed one. How about this Caesar? So similarly, you have Caesar coming in document 1 and document 2. So if you recall, since the Caesar is coming in more than one document, so we need to create the posting list. Yeah, postings, right? So you create the postings where the Caesars will be having, basically you have the posting list which has the documents 1 and 2. So in this way, basically you can perform the inverted index. And we have also discussed, like along with the terms, we can store the frequency, document frequency, like in how many documents this particular tokens has been appeared. So anybody would like to comment why we store the frequency here?
For query optimization, right?
For query optimization. Very nice, Venkatesh. Yeah, someone else want to comment?
No, sir, was about to say the same.
Okay, nice. So very nice. So this is the key steps for index query that you recall, right? So in this way, basically you can merge it. And one thing we have also, if you recall, discussed, we also need to normalize it, or probably consider the root word. So that is either by stemming or lemmatization. In that way, you can use it. And if you recall, anybody want to comment why we need to consider everything is in lowercase? Very quickly. Why do you need to have terms in the lowercase? Anyone?
So just to maintain the uniformity, if killed K is capital and killed K is small, so both are actually the same words. So
very nice. So for computers, basically they are different, but semantically they are same, right? So that's why, just to have the semantic similarity, yeah, you need to keep them in uniform representation. So that's why you consider the root case, you consider the basically the lower case, and so on. So I hope everyone is clear until now. Good.
Sir, do we also need to perform other operations like stemming and all lemmatization thing also on these terms?
Yeah, ideally you can do, right? I mean, when you do the pre-processing, yeah, you do. So it is your choice whether you want to perform the lemmatization or the stemming. So as we have discussed in earlier lectures, and if required, we can cover in tutorials probably in more details what are the specific benefits and probably the examples of lemmatization over the stemming, right? So feel free to ask this question in probably in more details in the tutorial session as well, and if required, we can also cover in the class later on. Okay. Yeah. So as part of today's class, we will be focusing on RCV1 dataset. So RCV1, basically a dataset, is kind of big dataset, and that is basically 1 year of Reuters Newswire. Basically, it's a 1 year dataset from 95 to 96. So if you look at this dataset, this is a dataset which probably not a fairly small data set, just like probably you can say the Shakespeare, probably other not too big data set that you have that requires probably indexing. So for example, if you consider the Newswire, or probably, I mean, the Reuters, or probably any kind of such data set, they are a bit fairly large, and it depends on how how much memory your computer has. So the collection is like kind of not very large, but still publicly available and kind of good example to deal with. So this data set is publicly available. You can simply download and try basically the different technique that we'll be covering today, and probably the later classes. So this is just one example of RCV1 dataset. So document. So in this case, as you can see, you have different documents. Since it's a newswire, so it's kind of news article you have of different categories. So it could be US, international, business, market, politics, and so on. So in this way, you for different category, you have different news. So it's kind of it has images, it has text, and so on. So as part of current focus and probably the data set which has been available, so we will only be focusing on the text data set, but you are basically free to probably further explore what if you have to consider the images or probably other media data which are available. But for time being, let's only focus on the text data. So for Router RC1 document, so you can think of a document is a kind of different set of words that you have, set of sentences, and based on that you need to probably perform the inverted index. And so this whole document, this whole particular news article can be treated as a one document in the dataset. So these are some statistics. So the number of document is these are basically the rounded these numbers after the rounding off. So the number of document is close to kind of 8 lakhs, right? So average number of tokens per document. So it means these 800,000 documents, each document having close to average 200 documents. So terms, that is the word types, because so that is close to 4 lakh terms. So it means can anybody quickly comment why this terms is a bit less than the number of document here?
So that is actually like the vocabulary, the unique terms basically.
Right.
So, yeah, stop words removal maybe.
Yeah, I mean that is thing, but yeah, it's mainly because when you have the document, right? When you have the document, ideally if everything is different, this number would be probably 8 lakh into 200, right? But this is not the case. Often, I mean the different terms and probably the whatever the vocabulary you have, that is or repeated over the documents, even in the same document it might be repeated a number of times, right? So in a way, I mean you can treat as like a dictionary the vocabulary for this. So if you recall the average number of bytes per token, so it's kind of 6 bytes. So you may assume like how much space do you require if you're going to create index for this. So in a way, basically non-positional posting that you'll be having, that will be kind of close to 100 million, right? So that will be quite big posting list, because if you're going to basically create, if you're going to create the posting for all the tokens you have going to have very high posting sizes, which will be not efficient to deal with. So that is why basically we need probably a better ways of indexing, creating indexes. So for example, in this case, sort based indexing construction. So in this case, basically we build the index and we parse document one at a time. So the final posting for any terms are incomplete until then, because we are keep parsing a document and keep basically updating the posting list that you have. So that's why the final posting for any terms are incomplete until then, until you process all the documents that you have. So at 8 bytes per term ID and the document ID. So basically in this case, what they try to do, so if you recall in the previous lectures, while creating the inverted index, we have considered the term instead of term ID. So what they have proposed, so how about using term ID instead of term? So what additional thing we have to do if we are using term ID instead of term? Anyone?
So we have
So
to
create a map.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to create another map or mapping where basically you need to have a mapping of term to term ID, right?
So what's the difference between term and token here? I think in the previous slide also there were average number of tokens and average number of terms separately.
Where?
Average bytes per token and average bytes per term.
So usually terms could be probably more than one token, right? Token is, you can consider as a kind of smallest element that you are going to have. So in a way, I mean, term could be a bit bigger, because term is basically, if you look at here, so when you're doing the indexing, right, when you're doing the indexing, term could be a phrase as well. Term could be a phrase as well. So that's why probably it could be, suppose you are considering 2 gram, right? In that case, I mean, that could be probably a bit larger as compared to token. So I think that is the case.
Okay. Also, how are we extracting the terms then, like clubbing whether these two words are one phrase or not?
So if you recall in the previous lecture, so we have discussed, like, it depends on how basically because again, so to determine which two tokens need to be combined, kind of which phrase to consider. Suppose you are considering 2 gram, or even, I mean, you are considering probably something else like more than one tokens. In that case, if you recall, we discussed about there's something called POS tagging. So POS tagging is something that is part of speech tagging you need to perform. So with that part of speech tagging, so they basically group the different tokens together. So for example, if something is suppose some name is mentioned here, Osin Sachdev or something, right? So in that case, this particular combination is a kind of name phrase, right? So in that case, both are considered together, and in that case, when you are creating the indexes, you can keep that.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So here basically the 8 bytes per token is kind of term ID and document ID. As you rightly mentioned, we need to have another mapping of term to the term ID. And in this way, basically you can have the term ID and document ID pair. And again, I mean, even if you want to create indexes based on this, it requires still a large number of a lot of space for such large collection. So like in this case, suppose you have 100 million in this case of RCV1. So we can do this in memory today. But I mean, what if probably it is, instead of 100 million, it is 1 billion. I mean, probably even more. So in that case, it may not be feasible for you to perform this indexing in the memory of your computer, right? So that's why we need to store the intermediate results on the disk, because the main memory that you have is not enough to hold all the data that you have. So what are the additional things that you can do? So we need to basically store the intermediate result on the disk, and so that is kind of same as some of the sorting algorithm that you have studied probably in your data structure and algorithm classes. So what if you do not have enough memory to sort the data that you have? Because while creating the inverted index, if you recall, we have to perform sorting of the different document or probably the term ID that you have, right? So in that, but what if you have very fairly large data set? Like if, for example, New York Times provides an index of greater than 150 years of newswire. So if you have such a fairly large data set, I mean, it is not feasible for you to perform the sorting and something in the given means memory that you have. So what could be the solution? Anyone? What kind of sorting algorithm you can perform?
Hello.
Yeah, Kapil.
Yes, like in the algorithms, we have merge sort because merge sort deals with this problem. So we have some large data set, but we just bring the small things into main memory and just sort it. So it looks like the similar thing. So
Yeah. So
in that context, we can use merge sort because. Yes, like in that context, we can use merge sort because it will like help us to bring the only the some chunks of the data set and then just sort it and then like bring it
Very
back to
nice.
the
So
secondary
what does
memory and
this is
then
called?
again.
So does this have some, I mean, the specific name?
External shot also.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think.
merge.
So basically, it is not using extra space. So we can go for merge sort,
Mm-hmm.
or we can say, I think in order sorting. I think.
Okay, someone mentioned about external shorting, and Kapil is also probably right. We need to definitely take small thing and perform the sorting and finally merge it. So something similar that we are going to do. So overall idea is correct. Overall idea is correct. So how we can do basically? So we need to consider a scaling index construction, and how you can do that. So in memory index construction does not scale because you cannot put everything in the memory. So that's why we need some other ways of dealing with that. So you, Kapil, and probably other have very rightly mentioned. So in order to construct indexes, which is kind of very fairly large collection, we need to basically consider, probably other possibilities. So external sort is probably one of them, and we need to see. But again, everything, either whether we are going for external sort or probably some other possibilities, we need to consider the whatever the hardware constraint you have, because different computer may have different disk size, memory size, even the speeds are different, processing speed are different, and so on, right? So you need to consider these constraints while designing your indexing uh, uh, as a basically for a large collection of data. So let's quickly review some of the hardware basics, and that you probably already studied in your earlier uh, part of your studies. So hardware basically is when servers used in IR system. So now typically they have several GBs of main memory, and sometimes tens of GBs, or it could be probably in some TBs and so on. So available disk space is often uh, multiple times bigger than the main memory. So it could be in the range of say TBs. So often fault tolerance is kind of bit expensive. So one possibility is like either you use one fault tolerant kind of very expensive system, and its alternative is like, how about using many regular machines rather than one fault tolerant machine. So do anybody know what this specific thing is part of? What kind of computing is called?
Distributed.
Right, right. So that is, we need to perform the distributed computing as well, right? In order to perform a kind of cheaper fault tolerance mechanism. so so I hope you are agree with this point. So access to the data in memory is much faster than the access to the data on disk. So do anybody know how much faster? Anyone? Or you are not agree with this claim?
I think memory is nanoseconds and disk is milliseconds.
So the
Yeah,
memory
yeah,
is
yeah.
RAM, right? And RAM can be accessed fairly faster than from the hard disk.
Yeah. So this is exactly we have written, and so very much right, I guess Osin said. Yeah. So memory is in more in closer to in from some fraction of nanosecond, but if you're going to read through disk, it requires millisecond. And why it is so? Anybody want to comment why accessing from disk is takes more time as compared to accessing from memory?
Sir, it's an electromechanical device, the hard disk, and it's an electronic device, the RAM. Electronic device accessing is much faster than the because mechanical operations are involved, the flatter and the movement of disk in the hard disk case. And whereas
Right.
the memory, it's made of flip flops, so accessing is very fast. It's electronic device.
Very nice, Lokesh. Anyone else want to add something?
Sir, also the memory space is larger in Scandi memory,
Yeah,
and
so that is
RAM
true.
has
So
less memory space.
no, that is true. That is true. But yeah, so we are mainly want to know more about, so why accessing from disk is slower. So as rightly mentioned, I guess rightly mentioned. So here basically, if you're reading any data from a disk, right? So as you rightly mentioned, there is some mechanical thing involved. So where basically the disk head need to move to the different sector of the hard disk, right? Because all the data are stored in different part of the hard disk. So you need to first go to this sector, different sector or the blocks of the disk. Once you reach there, you can read the chunk of data from there. So it involves a lot of movement, and that's why bit is slow. So that is why uh, uh, so disk seek is something how much time basically you require. So therefore transferring kind of one large chunk of data from disk to memory is faster than transferring kind of many small chunk of data. So are you agree with this point? Because often the data stored in the different chunk is on the disk, right? So if so that's why one possibility could be you store all the relevant or probably the related, not relevant, I would say the more data which are being called together. So probably store at the same place. So that is the same chunk of data. So that whenever, because even when you are passing the data from disk to memory, right? So disk seek time will be the same, because the time required from reaching to the corresponding chunk, right? Corresponding chunk will be the same, only you have to move that whole chunk to the memory. So therefore transferring one large chunk of data from the disk to memory is faster than transferring many small chunks, because if you are going to transfer many small chunks, in that case every time the disk seek is involved. So that is moving disk head from one place to another and then another for the different chunks that you have. So you should basically avoid this in order to reduce the overall time. So often the disk input output is block based. So that is reading and writing of entire block as compared to small chunks. So that's why you need to keep data or probably the related data in the same blocks as much as possible, so that when you move the data from one block probably based on the blocks, you can basically pass whole related data at one go. So often the block size 8 KB to probably 256 KB. So it depends on what is your block sizes, and you can keep that much data in the block. So these are some assumption, or you can say the numbers numbers somewhere in the 2007. So now these numbers have changed even probably significantly, and like at that time basically the average seek time is close to 5 milliseconds, and the transfer time per byte is close to in the range of microseconds. Similarly, the processor clock rate is 10 power 9 per second. So now it is, all these numbers may have changed by this time, but again in the relative way, and you can basically use them. So similarly, the size of memory was several GBs. Now it has probably increased a bit more as compared to 2007. And similarly, the size of disk space is 1 TB or probably much more at the moment. So using these statistics, you can make a call. Which how basically you can basically you can build your inverted index, and what should be the size of blocks, what is the size of your posting list, and so on. So one possibility could be, since we have seen that often if we are going to deal with the web data, that is probably fairly large data. So in that case, I mean, you cannot fit you cannot fit all the data in your memory, right? If you cannot fit all your data in memory, so it means you need to keep the data in the disk, right? So can we basically use the same indexing construction algorithm for larger collection, but using disk instead of memory? Can we do so?
Yes, sir, it is very possible.
Okay,
Sir,
very nice. It is possible. if it is possible, then what we, let me probably check with others. So do other things it is possible?
Yes, sir, but it will be a time consuming task.
Very nice. So yeah, so definitely it, I mean, theoretically it is possible, right? Theoretically it is possible, but it may not be realistic, because the, I mean, you need to basically sorting kind of the number of I mean the terms you have, right, which is fairly large. and and since it requires sorting, I mean, you cannot perform sorting on the disk, especially because this requires so many disk seeks, right? You need to keep moving disk, and which is kind of not possible.
Sir,
So
I
that's
just
why
want to,
probably some,
excuse me, sir. I just want to confirm that in DSA course, I studied that we can use B tree or B plus trees to perform like on disk task. Using those particular data structure, we can do hard disk related storing task. Is that
yeah, so
true?
definitely you can do, but again, so what is the maximum size you can think? Can you deal with any size of data that you have?
No, sir, I don't know the actual implementation. I have just the idea from there.
Okay. Okay. So that's why, I mean, some of you have already like suggested, we need some kind of external algorithm, sorting algorithm, right? So if the data is not able, you are not able to fit in memory, and if the data is in kind of stored in the disk itself, in that case, how you can basically sort them in order to build the inverted index. So that's why we need kind of an external sorting algorithm. And so let's quickly discuss about the external memory indexing and the sorting. So BSBI, that is the blocked sort based indexing, is one of such possible solution. So what it does is sort with fewer disk seeks. So the idea is, can you reduce the disk seek as much as possible in order to achieve this? So you have a pair of term ID and the document ID. So these are so these are generated as we parse document, because while parsing every document, so you know what is the terms ID, what is the document ID, you can keep creating this. So in this way, so now we have we need to sort 100 million of such 8-byte record of term ID, right? So is it possible to accommodate 100 million? Suppose it is not possible in your case. So what we have to do in that case, we have to probably divide this 100 million into smaller blocks. So for example, suppose we define a block size of 10 million such records, and we assume that you can easily fit probably a couple of them into memory. So because probably you need to perform other operation, and in this way we will having 10 such blocks to start with. Again, so based on the hardware constraint that you have, these numbers could be probably less or more. Even this number could be less or more. All right. So the basic idea of this algorithm is that you need to accumulate the posting for each block, sort them, and then write back to the disk. So in this way, you need to perform this for each block. So like in this case, we have 10 blocks. We need to take each block, sort them, and then write to the disk, so that you have the sorted posting for each block. Once you have the sorted posting for each block, now you can basically merge them into one longer sorted order. So in this way, you can probably able to deal with this, because you do not need to perform sorting for whole bunch of 100 million data you have. Basically, instead, you perform the sorting for small blocks and simply merge them. So this is the way the index is created. So basically, you need to perform this until you have the all documents, and in this way get the each blocks. And so once you have the blocks, simply you have to invert the blocks. It means after sorting, you have to write it. You need to sort based on the different blocks, and finally write it back to the disk. So in this way, you need to keep doing it. Once you perform all this for all the blocks, simply you need to merge these blocks, and in this way you can have fmerge. So this is just a pseudo code for this is what we have discussed here for block sort based indexing algorithm. So sorting 10 blocks of 10 million record. So what we have to do, so we need to first read each block and sort within. So if you recall, the quick sort takes kind of order n log n. So that is the expected steps. So in our case, n is kind of 10 million, right? So in this case, how much time it will require? So it's kind of 10 times of this estimate give us 10 sorted runs of 10 million record each. So you have basically 10 blocks, and for each 10 blocks you have and each block size of 10 million, you perform the quick sort. So done straightforward. We need 2 copies of the disk, but can you optimize it, by the way? And why do you need 2 copies of the data? Anyone? Any guess how the 2 copies of data that you have here on the disk? Anyone? So first you have one block, right? And after the sorting, you have to kind of store again. So it's kind of second copy is the kind of sorted copy that you have. In a way, basically you can have this, but you can think of how you can optimize this in order. But usually the disk storage is not costly, and often you have plenty, so it shouldn't be much issue unless you have, I mean, very large corpora to deal with. So how to merge these sorted runs? So can we do some kind of binary merges? So binary merges is one of the way you can do optimally. So I guess someone is suggesting, I mean, how we can use some tree or something. So this is one way you can probably perform the merging. So like with a merge tree of because 10 is the number of blocks you have, so that is kind of, you might be needing probably 4 layers. And so during each layer, read the memory runs into the blocks of 10 million, and you simply need to merge it and write back to the disk. So in this way you can perform the merging for all the 10 blocks that you have, and finally end up with final merge posting list. So for example, you can see here, so this is the block 1, so which has Brutus, document 1 and 3. So these are the posting list for Brutus. This is posting list for Caesar. So in this case, you have for different terms you have the different documents where it has appeared. So similarly, this is the second blocks. So since different blocks may have the same term, so in this way you need to merge it. So this is exactly we have done, and you need to merge both the blocks. So how to merge the sorted runs? So it is more efficient to do a multi-way merge where you are reading from all blocks simultaneously. So again, so there are several ways you can do so. So one is how you can make it probably more optimally. So you need to think what are the different possibilities could be. So one such possibilities are mentioned here. So open all block files simultaneously and maintain a kind of read buffer for each one and write buffer for the output file. So for each iteration, pick up the lowest term ID that has not been processed using a priority queue, right? So here, basically in this case, we have shown the terms instead of term ID just for the interpretation, or probably more, you can say, understanding. But when you are creating the actual indexes, when you have the actual block, so here basically it will be probably just term ID like T1, T2, T3, and so on. So what it is saying, so just pick up the lowest term ID that has not been processed using a priority queue. And so since in priority queue, you can just pick up probably the lowest term from the top. And in this way, you can probably implement it in a better way. And finally, you merge all posting list for the term ID and write it out. So in this way, you have the final merge posting list for all the terms ID that you have. So in this way, providing you read decent size chunks of each block into memory, and then write out a decent size output chunk. And then basically you're not killed by disk sick, because now you have reduced the number of disk sicks which are required. So do people clear here this whole steps of merging and creating the different blocks and finally the merging them. Okay, so I
Yes,
assume
sir.
this. Okay, very nice. Very good. So remaining problem with the sorting based algorithm. So can you think of any issue here? I mean, what's SBIS that we have discussed? Like we have discussed about BSBI. So block based sort based indexing that we have discussed. So we have seen that we are able to basically able to basically take different blocks and merge them, sort them and merge them. But is there any issue that you have seen here? So one of the issues that is you can see here. So assumption is here. I mean, you have the mapping of term to term ID and you can fit in the memory. But is it always the case? So for example, if you compare the probably the dictionary of say the World Wide Web data that you have. So that will be very, very fairly large. And you may not able to probably fit that into the memory. So the current algorithm that we have discussed assume that you are able to have the term to term ID mapping in the memory. That is the dictionary that you have. Term to term ID mapping is you have. But it might also be the case. I mean, you're not able to fit that in memory. So probably in that case, we need to think of probably an even better solution, which can help you to accommodate or probably deal with this. So can anybody think of solution to this? What if you're not able to fit the dictionary into the memory? What are the other things you can, other solution you can thought about? Probably in the similar line of
So the term
sorting.
IDs are
We can
already
store the
sorted
dictionary in
because
the disk also.
Very nice. And what kind of will it be the common dictionary or will it be probably block based or something?
So it can also be block based.
Which will be probably more optimal.
So the based, as we are like, we can also this consider dictionary as a data itself and store in the same way that we are storing the blocks.
Yeah, very nice. Osin, you are saying something, sorry.
yeah, I was saying the same thing, that like since the term IDs are already sorted because we are assigning them, we won't even have to sort them and we can arrange them in blocks.
Right. Yeah, very nice. So something similar, I think. So you are clear. We need to explore. So let's go into probably more details. So, but at least you can assume and probably see here. So assumption was we can keep the dictionary in the memory is not always the case. In that case, probably you need to think of better solution. So we need the dictionary, which is probably grows dynamically in order to implement a term to term mapping. So how you can do so? So the solution is single pass in memory indexing. So here basically the idea is so generate separate dictionary for each block. So which probably I guess Osin and other student has mentioned. So in that case, no need to maintain term to term ID mapping to across blocks. So it will be for every block. Another key idea is don't sort. So one possibility, just simply accumulate posting in the posting list as they occur. So with these two ideas, we can generate a kind of complete inverted index for each block and will be kind of independently can be used. And these sorting index can be then merged into the one big index if required. Right? So in this way, I mean, you can probably have this bigger index will have the separate smaller index for different blocks, and you need to probably use them. So can anybody highlight the difference or probably the pros and cons for single pass in memory indexing and the previous one? So what will happen if we have the dictionary on the block basis, like in this case, as compared to the dictionary as for whole block, all the blocks in the previous case?
Hello.
Yeah, Kapil.
So one of the issue can be the because as the blocks will be different, so term IDs can be same for like different words. And if something we are doing based on the term ID, then it will be like confusing because uh, term IDs will be same for the words now. So that will be a problem. And because in the complete thing we have distinct term IDs for distinct words, so there will be no issue. But in this thing, this issue may arise.
Right. So can anybody comment in terms of computation? I mean, probably which require probably more computation as compared to other.
So if we maintain separate dictionaries for each block, so there will be redundancy.
Right. Yeah, it will be. It will be.
So
And so
lookup
what?
is difficult. Like lookup, we'd have to look up in multiple dictionaries.
Yeah. So it
to
means
resolve.
you need to look up. I mean, the lookup into multiple dictionary, and probably instead of earlier you were only required to look at into one index, right? One bigger common index that you have. So now you will have to probably require to see into more than one index, right? Because once the data is indexed, right? I mean, it won't take much time, whether it's a kind of small or big, right? Because the time whichever is required in creating the index. Yeah, Divya, you want to say something?
But sir, like for each block there will be one index, right? So that should
Wait,
not
wait.
be an issue.
Divya, could you please mute yourself? Yeah, Pragya, please repeat your question again.
Sir, for each block there will be one index, right? So it will behave same like as it was behaving earlier. Like why it
Yeah,
will
but
behave differently?
now you have to look into more indexes, right? More, you can say the or you need to probably look into the all blocks, because the same term may be present in more than one indexes, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So this is just a kind of pseudo code for what we have discussed. So if you see here, I mean, you have output file, you have the dictionary for new hash. So again, so you need to keep doing this until the memory, there is kind of free memory available. And in this case, you simply have to look at, so if you have the token from the all the token stream which are coming, if the term, I mean, is already available, the terms that you have is already available in the dictionary, right? If it is not available, it means what you have to do, simply have to add this to the dictionary, right? If it is already there, in that case you simply have to, you already have the generator kind of posting list and you need to add there. And one key thing is to look it here, one key thing to look it here is if the, because uh, often when you are dealing at the block level or even at the chunk level earlier that we have mentioned, you have fixed amount of space, right? Because why you are storing, because all the posting that you are having, why you are storing at the same block, so that you can reduce, so that you can basically reduce the disk seek time, right? So that's why you need to probably, you want to keep it at the same place. That's why probably you need to allocate kind of some space to the document posting list that you have, so that you can access them. So it might be the case, whatever the size, because nobody know what will be the posting size for all, because for different terms may have the different posting list. So in this case, in the initial, for the initialization, you probably allocate some space, probably a block size for this particular posting list for the tool. It might be the case over the time, because some terms will be more frequent as compared to others. So some posting list will be filled, right? So what could be the possibility? If the posting list is filled, then what you can do in that case? Anyone?
So it's similar to the dynamic array, the thing we do in dynamic array, like increase the
Right.
size.
So usually if you recall in dynamic array, what you do, you increase the size by double, right?
Right, sir, right.
right? So in this case, you can see what you simply do every time you just double it. So for example, and once you double it, probably you need to move whole document to probably to other place, right? So in this case, you can see the posting list will be doubled, and you simply just move all the terms there. And in this case, I mean, you can update the posting list for the different terms document that you have. So in this way, basically, you have the sorted terms, and write block to the disk. So in this way, the output file will be the merging of block is kind of analogous to the BSBI, and in this way you can perform the invert operation in SPMI. So let me show kind of visualize how it works. So you have the input token D1. So in this way, since this token was not there available, so it means you need to add this to the dictionary. So the Caesar, I mean, if you just see, I mean, of course, you need to perform all those pre-processing stuff. So Caesar is kind of converted to the lowercase and so on. And this has been added to the dictionary. So once a term D1 appears, so I mean, in the document D1, so with will be added to the dictionary. So when Brutus appear, the same thing will happen, and you can store in the dictionary. And you try to keep it probably here. So what if Caesar come again? What you will do now?
Double the posting.
So simply you can add it to Caesar.
Yes, yes, add to the posting.
Yeah, add to the posting. Yeah. So this is what we have done. So simply, basically, if the date is already there, so add to the posting. Similarly, same will happen with the D2 as with as well. When it comes the document D2, we can do this. And same when the Brutus appear again, you can do this with again. So in this way, I mean, whole this process is coming, and in this way you can just perform all this, and finally you just simply perform this sorted dictionary, because as we can anybody again comment what is the benefit of having sorted dictionary?
So we can apply binary search and some more optimized searches.
Yeah, very nice Nishkarsh and Venkatesh. So again, this might be the case. How about I mean, even using these techniques, I mean, because you are dividing the whole dictionary into the block based dictionary. It might be the case, even that may be a bit bigger. Can it be the case? Because every day, if you look at the amount of document and amount of dictionary is keep adding. So for example, suppose you decide to not just to have the root word, but you want to probably have all the possible words. For example, for play, root word, you want to keep play, plays, playing, and played and everything, right? So even, I mean, in other cases as well. So what if, I mean, the dictionary size is getting too bigger, and probably the posting size is probably getting much bigger, and so on. What you can do in that case? Can you do some kind of compression in order to probably optimally deal with this? Yeah, so the compression is one of the possible solution, which basically you can perform in order to even perform more efficiently. So that is, you can perform the compression of terms, you can perform the compression of postings. Yeah, so I mean, there is a separate chapter later on, we will be discussing into more details, but for time being, you can think of, you can perform the compression in order to probably even perform an optimal operation. So, but before we go further, can anybody briefly comment what will be the issue with the compression? Because suppose in memory now we want, instead of whole tokens or probably the posting list or dictionary, we want to keep the compressed version of that. Like suppose we want to keep the compressed version of terms, we want to have compressed version of postings. What if we will be using the compressed version of such thing in the memory? What will be the drawback? Any guess?
So if like we are compressing, then we should have like one level of indirection to actually recover the original data. So that will add to the processing time.
Can you use the compressed data directly?
No, sir.
If you cannot use the compressed data directly, then what are the steps are involved to use that? Any
Like
guess?
we would have to recover the original data by some mechanism.
Exactly. So recover mean, I believe you mean the decompressing, right? So it means if you are having the compressed data in the memory, of course, for the before using it, you need to decompress it. And then after decompression, probably you need to use it, right? And it means it requires some time. Then what is the actual benefit we are getting here? Because if the decompression takes time, why we are doing so? And what are the benefit we are having of having this? Any guess?
So we can save in less memory, like after compression.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, we will decompress only when required.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Also, decompression happens in main memory while like whatever we're doing to optimize disk space access. So if it's decompressed, then we won't have to like we can store more data in the disk.
Yeah, that's true. And one more thing, if you recall, I mean, how the computer architecture works. So when you're doing any input output, so do you use input output? I mean, while using input output operation, do you use CPU?
No, sir.
Right? So there are system buses and everything through which perform the input output. So in majority of the time, the CPU is idle, right? And as you know, I mean, if you are going to use input output, it means it's nothing but probably it also involved the disk seek and so on, right? You need to move disk head from one place to another, fetch the data, then again move to another. And in this, and as you know, the in case of computer, the input output is the one of the costliest operation. Have you done any kind of profiling? How much time probably how much time basically system in or system out takes? So for example, if you're writing in the C++ code or something, so how much time a print operation take as compared to probably just sum and something? Have you ever done any profiling or something? Yeah, so let me come to that. I don't know if you're here. So probably if you look at the chapter, if you go into the details, so often happens, yeah, in addition to whatever all the benefit that you all have mentioned. Yeah, so since during the input output, the CPU is idle, right? So you can fully utilize this. You can fully utilize this in getting probably the relevant compressed terms and the postings from the different blocks, and just simply compress and decompress it, because that is very, very fast as compared to the input output operation. So that's why you can fully utilize it while creating the index and probably accessing the relevant document. So I mean, a detailed explanation and the experiment has been given in this particular publication, STIMI, by Haynes and Zobel in 2003. So often such kind of algorithms and the proposed methods, which are often very fairly simple, but still they have a huge impact on overall the way you process the data. So simply just proposing this idea of compression, decompression, basically, yeah, so that lead them to come up with a very, very popular, or you can say that very, very useful paper, which people kind of always remember. So this is something you can also think of when you are working on any problem, especially, so for example, in the project that you are working, right? So you do not need to just think about what you are doing, like in order to give a problem statement. You simply have to beat or probably solve the problem. You can also focus on how you can simplify the process, how you can basically you can also solve the problem more efficiently, because the beating the existing work never always mean that you beat the accuracy or probably whatever the evaluation metric you are using, right? You can also beat the system in other evaluation metrics. So that evaluation metric could be for example, taking less time. So despite in that case, so for example, the current work which is doing the compression, so for example, the current work which are probably solving some problem with an accuracy of say 95%, but it takes 10 seconds in order to complete this whole process. So for example, what if you come up with a solution which probably not performing better than 95%, probably it is just 90%, or you can say 92%. But the time taken by your system is just 1 second, right? So that is eventually a very good contribution as well, because now you have reduced the time to 1/10, and at the cost of just reducing the accuracy slightly. That is, you reduce the time from 10 to second to 1 second, but the accuracy drop is fairly less, that is 95% to say just 92%. So that is eventually is also a very good contribution. Similarly, another possibility could be, so one of the very popular recently proposed paradigm is the self-supervised learning, right? So in case of self-supervised learning, the whole idea is, okay, so we may not using our self-supervised learning, so we may not able to probably beat the state of the art, or like suppose let's take the same example. With the current model, with the current you can say very complex model, we are able to have a performance accuracy of 95%, but we are using say 1 million data, 1 million document. So what if I come up with a solution and say instead of 1 million I will just use say 0.1 million data, but achieve the almost similar accuracy. So like again, so for example, you are able to reduce the performance by 95% to just 92%. So that is, there is small loss, or you can say the small reduction in the performance, but the amount of data that you use is reduced significantly from 1 million to just 0.1 million. So this could also be treated as one of the popular, you can say, the contribution. So when you are thinking about your project, so not just think about beating the you can say the performance in terms of accuracy or whatever the evaluation metric has been used. Please also think about, can you also think about, yeah, like using less data, or probably making it faster, or probably simplifying this, or probably other aspect that you can think about. So please think about it while working on the project.
Sir, could also like the basically like the contribution be in terms of training time, like uh, probably like one method has a larger training time and more memory requirements, but another method I propose like requires less training time and probably less memory requirements, but the performance is like 1-2 points behind it. Could that also be considered as a good contribution, like in terms of
There is, yes,
engineering
of
or?
course. I mean, that is perfectly fine. I mean, the thing is you have to justify this. So for example, you are proposing a loss function, because how you reduce the training time, because if you converge faster, it means it takes less time in training, right? So it means probably the contribution here, you are keeping everything the same, just you are probably changing the loss function, and your loss function is such that which converges very fast and very correctly, right? That's how it takes the less time. So yeah, definitely it's a one possible direction.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, then let's move to the distributed indexing. So as we have realized that if the index, the tokens is very large, the dictionary is very large.
Sir, I have a
Okay.
doubt.
Yeah, Kriti.
Sir, I have a doubt. Like in a block-based sorting indexing, sir, when we are merging these blocks, so we need these blocks to be in the memory. So how do we deal that part? Means I'm confused regarding that. Like, so while merging these blocks has to be in the memory. So can you just?
Yeah. So anybody want to answer before I comment on this? Anybody? Anyone?
So the blocks are like manageable since we are chunking. It is like manageable within the given memory size, and then we immediately like write them out to the disk. So like it shouldn't be a problem.
So you don't need to load all the blocks at once.
For merging, we need to keep the blocks in the memory.
Right. So, for example, if you have 10 blocks that you want to merge, you can, so, for example, pick 2 blocks and first merge them to produce 2 more sorted blocks. So now you'll have 5 blocks that you want to merge. So
Yeah,
again,
so 5 blocks should be in the memory. So how
no,
do
so now you have 5. So you can again pick 2 and merge them and produce 2 more sorted blocks. So by this way, you can like combine them using only 2 blocks at a time.
I'm not clear at that part.
So Kriti, treat it like this, right? So as Osin is rightly mentioning, so you have 2 blocks. I mean, you are not keeping all the 10 blocks together, and even though you are keeping all the 10 blocks, I mean, they are already sorted in. I mean, they are already in the sorted order, right? So you only have to look at the top, or you can say the head of that, right? So you do not need to keep everything in memory. I mean, the full data in memory at the moment, right? You can probably keep part of it.
Part of a block, sir, or a complete block? Means by part, what do you mean, sir?
Yeah, so it could be part of the block, as well as you can also think of while merging two, right? So it is not always the case. I mean, both blocks are independent. Not
Yes.
independent. So they have common element as well, right? So 2
Yes.
plus, I mean, when you merge 2 block is not like it will become 2.
Yes, sir.
It will be probably 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.5. In this way, the after the merging, the block size won't be multiples, right?
Yes, got it.
And also, I mean, yeah, it is not necessary you keep everything, because since they are in sorted order, you can think of better way of optimize techniques to merge them. Because if you recall, I have mentioned you simply have to compare the tops because they are in sorted order.
Yes.
You have to only compare the top.
Okay.
Just take the selected. You can that's why we have mentioned we can keep track of you can say priority list, priority queue. So using priority queue, you can merge them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So let's come to the distributed index. So as we have discussed, the distributed index will be mainly required when you have very large data to deal with. Anybody know very popular technique in distributed indexing? Or not in indexing, but with distributed computing? Are you aware of any very popular algorithm technique in distributed computing? Anyone?
So I'm not sure about the algorithm mechanism, but indexing machines like Elasticsearch actually provide like distributed indexing.
Yeah, so that's true. But Elasticsearch is based on what? Because Elasticsearch is kind of, I mean, the way it provides you efficient searching, right? But how it create the distributed index? Have you heard of something called MapReduce?
Yes.
Right. So MapReduce, and similarly, you may heard of something called Hadoop or something, right? So MapReduce is something, basically it help you to perform the distributed computing, and through which basically you can perform distributed indexing here. So let me probably discuss probably in some details. So in case of distributed index, so especially for the web scale indexing, when it is very large, I mean, only one computer may not be enough. right? In that case, we may have to use a distributed computing cluster. So anybody want to answer what is computing cluster here? And what do you mean by distributed? Yeah, Venkatesh, please go ahead.
Yes, so we'll have like multiple nodes, and probably also the file system would be like replicated, and computing would be like distributed among these nodes, and there would be some orchestrator to assign tasks to these nodes. So nodes could be like computer terminals or any computing device.
Right. So it's more like, I mean, a number of closely connected computers, or you can say fairly small computers, but they are closely connected, and they can perform the distributed computing for the given data. And what do you think, how these works are distributed among different computers in the cluster?
So we would like have a master, and all of the other nodes would be considered as workers.
Very
and
nice.
Basically, like the task would be divided into chunks, the data would be divided into chunks and given.
Yeah, very nice. So it means, I mean, there will be a need of some kind of master, which basically divides the work among different clusters, and which can also keep track, because since it's a cluster and you also have to provide a robust computation. So often happens like when you have a computer, it may fail. Have you heard of something, the way distributed computing happens? Anyone?
So I think that you got disconnected or something, because we didn't hear a few seconds of your.
Hello. Sorry. Sorry. I think I got disconnected. But anyways, I think, yeah, we can end class today here, because we are also about to end. Okay. So anyways, yeah, so we can probably stop here. And so please finalize your projects, and some of the comments that some of the discussion that we had, what are the different aspects in the project you can think about that you will cover in your project. So please keep that in mind. Feel free to discuss with TAs. You can also set up a call with me. Just drop me an email. I'm just an email away, and we'll be very happy to help you in your projects, in your other doubts that you have. So please attend all the session. If you have any doubt with your TAs, and if that has still not resolved, please let me know. I will be very happy to probably take it further and help you. So note, probably we can end the class today here. So thank you so much, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,